Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David A. King. This is the second of our roundtable discussions. I have a panelist of three gentlemen here who I'm sure will have some very pertinent ideas and that are going to really inform you about a lot of things. I had planned on having a young gentleman here to read a poem to you called Black Sheep, but the situation is that unfortunately he wasn't able to attend. I also offer my apologies to my viewers who had a perception that we were going to be streaming live so that they could call in. That has not happened because of certain technical difficulties. But we're going to press on anyway. My position is this. In America today, specifically, I feel that there is an overemphasis and a rather de-emphasis on young men. I believe that they're becoming more and more emasculated because, or made effeminized, because the little rough house kid that likes to duke it up and play around and stuff like that and jump up and run, that's a boy's way. It's being discouraged. He's been more or less told to sit down and stay put, do not move. This is the thing that has happened to females that has caused them to be more or less than what they should be physically or actively. Muscles is just like anything else. If you train them to do something, they train. If you don't train them, or if you don't ever exercise, you don't ever run and jump and all of that, your muscles don't know how to do it. But if you do it constantly, as men or boys have done through centuries, through hunting, running, and all of that, then that creates a different physical physique. Now, the mindset on both parts of society in relation to male and female, I think, or I feel, is really insane. In the instance that it's counterproductive. It has no. It's like a pecking order thing. So they have different forms of pecking orders. The males have a form of pecking order, and the females have a form of pecking order. And what we end up altogether with is a lot of chaos. But getting back to the young males, the males have become almost like a forgotten breed. Everything is, and why I say that is because of the situation of a young man I know. He wrote a poem I was going to have him read tonight called Black Sheep. But it tells the story of how he was shot 3 times. He's addicted. He's lived a life of thuggery, but he wants to give his message to the young people. He cannot even go in a church now. He's unwelcome in church. As we said before, Jesus went out to the ones that nobody wanted, the social rejects, the prostitutes, the criminals. He worked with them. I do not feel that we today are doing that. Do you know the name of the local so-called baddie that's standing out on the corner that doing nothing? Or do you try to get to know the person? Why are you standing here? What are you doing? We don't care. So I kind of got me thinking, how did all this happen? I started thinking like based on the laws in the Constitution and laws that have been propagated since the days of Hammurabi. We live in an evil world still. Now, some people say, well, talking about laws is quite boring. And why read and study all this? They want to hear fictional stories that amuse them. In essence, lies, as opposed to facts and truth. Now, the First Amendment regarding art and movie, I was going to run a piece where one of my panelists tonight had commented on smoking as filmed in films, because I heard an article guy speak on the news to that effect. He said that smoking was not too good. Is appearing too often in movies now, you know. But if it depends on the mode of the movie. What do you have messing with art? What right do you have to tell an artist how he should explain his story, or or create. Now, we're not political here. I'm not political, it's just my opinions. And we're also, this is not a debate situation here. This is all about discussing things, just general conversation. I'm throwing the stuff out here now so that we can have something to really begin to generate some action on. But my question is this. Since the Constitution was first written, there were people already trying to figure out how can we get around this and that, you know? And the situation was there were so many things that they said. They say now that so much about the Constitution is outdated and this, that, and the other. They say, let's see, that it was that it's outdated. They talk about the future of our children. All this. They said this when the Constitution was first written, when it was in the horse and buggies and all of that, and it still wasn't true. This particular document was written by gentlemen who were the best thinkers in history, had the finest minds in history. They had studied all the Eastern arts, brought them all together. They spoke I don't know how many languages. And they wrote a document that has a musical content. It sings, it's iambic. It sings like meter. It has a meter to it all the way through if you read it. I was astounded when I found out. I took the time to read the Constitution once. That's stuff that is saying that to those who use the maxim of taxpayers versus welfare, especially FDR, Lincoln instituted Social Security in form of income tax program to pay for the Civil War. It was never rescinded. When an idea is proposed, many people with agendas tear it apart, often stopping those ideas from being implemented. I have, with a small amount of dollars, created and produced products here equal to and a lot those that are being propagated, shown on ABC, NBC, and CBS. The quality of our programs thus far tonight has been on that level. With more opportunity, maybe we can do a little bit more. But the contents of this is going to be like talking about the First Amendment and, of course, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Who has the right to bear arms? We're going to talk about mob law, what is hearsay in relation to, for example, the Salem witch hunts type mentality. And do we have the right as human beings to punish anybody? To deal out punishment? What about all these guys who are being having their cases abolished or whatever because DNA proved they didn't do it? Now, what about the ones we've executed? You know, do we have the right to take another person's life? Now, I'm going to open up this discussion here with some comments from some friends of mine about what I've said so far. I would like to introduce on my right,
Peter Swayze.
Mr. Peter Swayze. On my left,
Charlie Gurevich.
and on my far left,
Toby Williams.
Now, gentlemen, tell me, all that rhetoric I just spilled out there, what was your reaction to some of it? Am I crazy, or am I the only one in the world that thinks like this?
Well, first of all, no, you're not crazy. And you're not the only one in the world that thinks like that. I've heard those concepts before in my own studies, in the studying I have done. One point you made was the founding fathers could speak multiple languages. And, and think about it. They came, they came from England, so they came from Europe. I'll take Jefferson, for example.
Oh, okay.
He came from Europe. He was the envoy and ambassador to France, I believe.
He was.
So he could speak English.
Mm-hmm.
He could speak French when he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
He could be the envoy with all different kinds of foreign powers. So he knew how to speak the language of the people he was communicating with at a particular time.
Right.
The reason they had Jefferson write so many documents was because he was highly educated. Madison came up with the Virginia plan that set up
Okay.
the House of Representatives. It set up the Congress. These men, I just used Madison and Jefferson because those two are two I'm most familiar with. But then Franklin, he was a politician, he was a scientist, he was a statesman. My point is, these men were multifaceted.
Beautiful.
They had, thank you, Mr. King. They had many different interests. Today, you look at most people, and they only know about a couple of things. I don't think many people today take the time to develop interests. So, now, I'll correct myself. Some do. There are a small portion of people that do, I believe. But the majority of the masses just believe what they are fed and what they are told without doing their own research. But Madison, Jefferson, the founding fathers, and some would say some of our best thinkers, they all did their own research and their own experience. I will pass the discussion on now to the comments of the other two panels.
Well, I want to add this to what you just said. This is a book by Mr. Gary Wills. Now, this is really dated, but I like these books because they tell stuff that the modern books have started leaving out. He says Jefferson was opposed to the individualist vision of private enterprise. He said all enterprise is public, is common. Mm-hmm. Not only does the earth belong to the living, so do all the forces driving the earth. Now, think about that. I know one of the great influences on Jefferson was this gentleman. Let's see that ranking. Mr. Hutchinson.
Yes.